Coming up on this episode of the Hitstreak.
People start out on pills that they steal from their parents, medicine cabinet, right? And then they alienate everybody around them that would love them, right, and give them help. And then they're having to get fentanyl. That's what happens. It's $3 a hit, right? And so, because you're addicted to that narcotic.
Yeah.
And your body goes into what we said earlier, withdrawals, right? You go through detox. So you have to have that next hit. And that's what we're going to all be dealing with. If we don't help these patients, right, we're all going to deal with it.
A smile can do more than brighten a face. It can rebuild a life. Smiles for Recovery is a nonprofit restoring confidence and dignity for individuals recovering from substance use by providing free, compassionate dental care. Addiction often causes serious dental damage, leading to pain, isolation, and lost opportunities. Smiles for Recovery changes that. Through a growing network of volunteer dental professionals, they offer cleanings, extractions, and full restorations, empowering people to re-enter the workforce, reconnect with loved ones, and literally rebuild their lives. Every single smile tells a story of healing, strength, and second chances. You can be a part of that story. Whether you're a dentist, a donor, or someone who believes in second chances, your support changes lives. Visit smilesforrecovery.org to learn more and get involved. Together, we're restoring smiles and renewing lives. Whoa. Check this out. Some of the world's biggest success stories started with nothing. Just grit, hustle, and a story worth hearing. So if you've clawed your way up, if you've built something out of nothing, if you've got a story that people need to hear, folks, this is your shot. The Hitstreak isn't just a podcast. It's a platform not just for top performers. It's also a platform that takes real stories from underdogs, builders, and dreamers, and it puts them on the map. Your story, your brand, your breakthrough. Apply now to be a guest. We'll put you in front of millions of viewers worldwide. You'll get pro-level content, high-level exposure, and a seat at the table with people who've been there and made it out. I'm not only looking for polished top performers. I'm looking for real stories from real people. If you've been through the fire and came out stronger, you belong on this show. Apply now. This is your moment. Email management@nickhyder.com or comment or DM the word Hitstreak to apply. The Hitstreak is where rags to riches stories have been told, and the next one could be yours. Blessings, folks. Welcome back to another episode of the Hitstreak. I'm your man, Nick Hyder. And folks, I've got an extra special treat joining me in the Hit Lab today. This is a very, very special episode for me because all of you know about my journey with my new smile. And those of you watching with me today, I'm grinning big just for you. And you can see it. And you might need sunglasses because they're so shiny. They're absolutely beautiful. I couldn't be happier, so I had to bring in the artist who literally put together my smile for me and talk about what they're doing for some folks that really, really need it, some recovering addicts, right? So we had his partners in Smiles for Recovery in a couple episodes ago, and I got the man himself to talk about it, right? So let me give this dude a proper introduction, all right? Let me give him a proper introduction. He is the owner of Pryor Family Dentistry and the co-founder of Smiles for Recovery. He's a U.S. Air Force veteran. Folks, give it up for Dr. Aaron Pryor. Doc, how we doing today, baby?
Man, doing great, Nick. Thank you for having me here, man. It's such a privilege I looked at your podcast list and saw some of these great people that come in here, man, and I just feel very humbled to be here. And thank you for putting the word out for Smiles for Recovery. That's what we're trying to do, is spread the message and let folks know actually what we're doing and why we're doing it. Right? So,
well, I got to say, I can tell you how big of a difference that the we haven't even done the bottoms yet as we sit today, but like the difference in how I feel, my confidence, like everything is just it's a totally different thing. And I wasn't even, I won't say somebody in need. You know, mine was more of a judgment, a cosmetic enhancement. I was blessed to have what I had, but there's some folks that are in really bad shape. And that's kind of, we've talked a lot about Smiles for Recovery in a previous episode with your co-founder, Justin Lowry, and Hustle Recovery's Troy Sandifer, even Dr. Stephen Lloyd's Cedar Recovery's been a guest on the show. I mean, this is all, you guys are all kind of like running in the same circles, helping the same people. So Smiles for Recovery. All right. This is something I know is near and dear to your heart. All right. So talk to me about who Smiles for Recovery is for and the main mission behind this, because this is why we're here today.
Well, so in 2005, when I opened my private practice, I had come home from the military. So I'd been getting trained in the U.S. Air Force. I had a residency in the Air Force, which gave me a lot of surgical training. So when I came back, I was removing a lot of teeth, you know, for patients that could not afford it. Like I would work for the jail. That's what I did when I was getting my practice up and going. I would see patients come through that had no money and they had toothaches, right? So what I learned over time is that these patients, they go through a very torturous process of removing one tooth at a time because all of their teeth are bad at the same time. See, the average person gets a toothache maybe every now and then, right? These patients, all of their teeth rot at the same time.
Wow.
So that means you got 32 teeth, right? So potentially you could have 32 single extractions because you have no money. And so it really hit home with me, you know, and so I did that from 2005. I worked with some other nonprofits. I was helping patients that were coming out of prison, right? And they were going into halfway houses and they would have toothaches. So the mission for these people to help them get back into society was hard to do that because these patients would have to go to the emergency room whenever they had a toothache because that's the only relief that they could get. And so as you can imagine, it costs a tremendous amount of money to send all these patients through our healthcare system in the emergency room instead of dentistry, right? And so that's what happened. And then 2001, Justin Lowry, he was bringing doctors in that needed to learn how to place implants, right? So we were training young doctors on how to place single tooth immediate implants.
Okay.
And he would bring me patients, right, from his recovery. So he would go to recovery and he would notice that patients or people he was talking to, they would be hiding their smile during the recovery process that he was going through. So he would bring me these folks and then we would show the young doctors, how to place the implants on patients that needed this work, right? And so we started doing free work. I mean, I've been doing free work since I started on people that cannot afford it, or it's just it's a lot more fun to do work for people that can never afford it and who truly appreciate it, right? Like it just changes their personalities tremendously. And you get to see that because it's a process, right? Like you went through that process of provisionalizing your teeth, you know, putting temporaries on, right? These patients go through a process of wearing temporaries also. And so once they get to the end, you know, I get to know that patient through the process. I get to learn their personality. I get to see how confident this person becomes once they can actually smile and look into the mirror and confidently speak to someone without being ashamed of how they look. You know yourself when you see someone on the street, right? They walk up to you and they smile and man, they're missing a tooth or they have a few black teeth, right?
Yeah.
You automatically put that person in a category in your mind as this person, man, something's wrong, right? Why would they walk around with no teeth, right? Or a black tooth in front of their head. And it's not because the person is not intelligent. It's because they literally have disassociated everyone in their family and they literally have nobody, right? And they have no money. They're trying to get enough money to eat today, right? Or to get that drug that they need, right? But they have no help, man. So when they have tremendous toothache, right, from dental pain, nobody's going to help them. And so that's what I see from the trenches, right?
Oh, wow,
I'm working in it, and the average person just doesn't think about it like that. But that's what makes our mission so powerful, you know. And when you do have a patient like that and you've taken out all their bad teeth, right, and you've given them implants and you've made them a beautiful new smile, that person actually, just like in church, that person goes back into the mission field and they actually try to help as many people as they can, right? That's what I've been seeing as I've done the nonprofit.
Wow.
And so, man, it's a powerful thing, and it's just it's life-changing for me also, because I get to meet so many cool people like you, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't realize there was such a tremendous nonprofit community where so many people are trying to help others.
Wow.
And I just got organized, right? Like, because what I learned, Nick, was that I only have two hands, and I'm fast. I can do this stuff pretty well, you know, at this point in my career, but I can only touch so many people. So the more people, the more docs that I train to do what I do, the more patients I can touch theoretically, right, throughout the United States. So we're actually going to set this up. We have doctor partners set up right now in 5 different states, right? Doctors like me who are actually already doing this work, right? They're doing it already. They just don't have a voice, and they're not getting the word out. You know, they're just working in the trenches, man. And so we're bringing these doctors to light and actually helping them get organized so that they can help more people, and they can also train more doctors in their location,
right,
for a wider reach, man. And that's what it's all about.
I'm actually, while we're talking here, literally talking about what you just said. Justin posted a photo this past weekend. I think I can find it. There it is, right here. In 2 days, you guys put $1.2 million worth of smiles in folks that needed it. Is that right?
That's correct. So if I was charging what we normally would charge to do the work that we're doing for these patients, that's what it would be, right?
That's incredible, man.
It's we're not just doing dentures, right? Like, we're giving these patients fixed restorations that they can actually bite into an apple, right? So
I did.
Yeah, man. I told you, right?
Yep.
I said, go home tonight, eat an apple, right?
It was awesome.
You're good. But you don't realize, you know, only people that don't have teeth realize what an affliction it actually is.
That's right.
Like, you can't even fathom or imagine it if you have teeth. We don't realize what these patients go through, right? So there's a lot of psychology involved, and I recognize that when I see these patients, right? It's life-changing, man, for me.
Man.
So it drives me every day.
And it's unbelievable. And like, you know, honestly, Doc, when I first met you, I was impressed with what you were doing and all that other stuff. But then I can't wait we're going to talk about the business, actually, the businessman too, because as a guy that's built businesses before, like when I saw the tour, like literally, like you've got real wings of or like, you know, you've got, this is the general, like where the cleaning wing, the surgical wing, like and each wing has, you know, 3, 4, 5 rooms or more. Like it's like one floor of a hospital. You know what I mean? Like that's what it felt like. Well, it's huge. And it's just incredible, the machinery and the gear and the people and what you guys are doing in there. And just as a fellow businessman, I'm intrigued. It's impressive, dude. It really is.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say the reason it's like that in wings is because I would build 2,400 square feet at a time, right?
Yep.
So it's almost a 10,000 square foot building now, but I just didn't have the funds, you know, to do that. So I would get renters, right? And then I would build the next wing. But that's how I did it.
That's
incredible.
Started
from nothing, you know.
Wow.
So,
dude, that's incredible. I can't wait to get into that here in just a little bit. So let's go back to Smiles for Recovery and those folks that need it, which, by the way, folks, if you want to check them out, I highly suggest you do smilesforrecovery.org online. Also PryerFamilyDentistry.com, Pryor with a Y, PryerFamilyDentistry.com. And you can get 2 Smiles for Recovery from the main site, as well as on Instagram at Pryor Family Dentistry, at Smiles for Recovery, and at, I believe it's Dr. Aaron Pryor's the other one. I'll double check that for the show notes. But folks, like I knew more than most, and I was in the dark. Okay, so what we're shining a light on, we have people in our family that this is affected. I would say most households have somebody in their family that this is affected, right? So, and I want to get into some of the numbers, but you said a couple of things that I wouldn't have thought of, which is when, so a couple things. The word hope comes to mind because when an addict comes out of recovery, or they're on day 1, day 2, day 3 of being addiction free, right? And if I'm using the wrong terms, correct me.
They're always going to be addicted.
Okay.
Right. It's just they're learning how to cope with their addictions
Got
and
it.
prevent themselves from placing it into their body.
Yep.
Right.
And those new teeth give people something to kind of live for, to almost as a reminder or an accountability thing that like, oh man, I got some people invested in me, people believe in me. It's all those things on top of the fact that I didn't even think about it. If you're, what your teeth look like when they've rotted through a situation like that, through extended use, I didn't even think about the pain and how that could cause them to relapse.
It's incredible pain. They can't get out of it. They can never get out of the cycle.
And those drugs are the only thing that can heal. Like, so not only are they in recovery, which there's pain there,
right?
Then all of a sudden you put, it would be the wrong kind of teeth pain is unbearable. And if you put that with like the I don't know what they're technically called, I call them the recovery shakes. Like
detox, they're withdrawals.
Withdrawals. That's it. That's the word I was looking for.
Right.
And literally two of our immediate family members have beat their addictions. Praise Jesus. But like, again, they had to get stuff done to their teeth. It's temporary. It's, they're actually going to be applying because we didn't even know, and basically it's a form of a denture. It's not like what you guys are putting in people's mouths are the best of the best. It's the best of the best.
It's what I'd give the best patients, and they could afford it out there, right? These people, we're giving them the opportunity to have what every American could have, So
what is some of the? Let's get into some of the analytics for a minute. You guys know if you don't give them new teeth, how many people stay in, they don't relapse. How big of an improvement does something like this give on, like these are analytics from across the country, how big of an improvement does it make in recovery with something like this?
So since we've been keeping up with data over the last 3 years, what's happened is we've noticed it's almost 100% the patients stay in recovery, right? They don't go back and want to take the other drug because they're so blown away with the way they look now, right?
Yeah.
Just like yourself, right? Like you're looking in the mirror like, man, I can't believe how good this could make me look, right? And I waited so long to do it.
Yeah.
But these patients, they don't have a choice, right? So once they finally do look in the mirror and they see that they look normal again, right? What we would think would be normal, and we take it for granted, right? They go into the mission field, man. I'm telling you, like everyone, like you met Troy, right? Troy Sandifer. Troy's in the mission field, man, and there's no telling how many people he's actually helped.
Wow.
But if you asked him, how did that affect him, right? It got him, it gave him motivation, right? And he knew what was possible that other patients could actually have if they made it through the 12-month program, right?
Yeah.
So they have to get through the first 12 months of recovery.
Yep.
And they have to have a sponsor, right? So we're not just doing this for everybody, right?
Sure.
Now, I will get people out of pain. We call it the pain train. And so we have other doctors in the local area where if we have a person that's just now come into recovery, right? They're still addicts.
Yeah.
And they have a dental ache, right? A tooth pain. We can take that tooth out for them immediately.
Okay.
Like within a day, right? Like we will get them to some place to get them out of pain so they can quit focusing on that pain. And so that's another arm of our organization, right? But once they get through the 12 months of recovery and they have a sponsor, then that's when we can actually talk to them and start training them on how to take care of what we're about to do for them, right?
It's when you're doing the hardest things in life, it's hardest to do them alone. And every time these people look in the mirror, they feel the support of the people that did that. So I want to talk about that. I mean, how many people were in that picture of the $1.2 million of teeth y'all just put in 2 days, whatever it was? I mean, it was a couple dozen, it looked like.
Yeah, about 25 of us were there. It takes a big team, man. I mean, the doctors are just a small part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got support people around me everywhere, and you have to have a tremendous team. And that's what we're in the process of doing right now, is just adding great talent to our team so that we can spread the message.
So the goal of Smiles for Recovery is basically right here in good old Lebanon, Tennessee.
Yeah,
we are. You guys are building out the model that can be reproduced in all these other markets to do what you guys are doing under the Smiles for Recovery umbrella to help out people literally nationwide.
Nationwide problem. We're going nationwide.
But one of the hardest things to do is scale to multiple locations, and because that's when you start losing consistency and the things that make it what it is, those little details, that make it what it is. But by building out the model here, you guys are basically you're building out the playbook for all the other markets to go, right?
So all the doctor partners that we're accumulating, they come to Lebanon first, and they see how the process works, and then they make a decision on whether or not they want to partner with us. And so all the partners that we're already talking to and we have a relationship with, they're already teaching other doctors how to place implants and how to do the same thing we're doing. And so it's just a great partnership.
No doubt.
We find the right docs, right? We're not just picking any dentist out there. These are doctors that have large clinics that are already helping people. They're already doing free work. We're just giving them the platform that we have now, that we've spent the time, and the anguish going through setting everything up, right? The nonprofit, getting organized.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time. You know that. So
It takes on average about a year just to get a 501c3 not-for-profit certificate.
I never realized that, right? I never even thought about it because I've always just given it away. It's so easy for me to remove a tooth, okay? Like I do it so many times a day that I don't even think about it, right? It's so easy to help someone to do that for me, right? And I never worried about getting paid for or having a nonprofit, but I realized, man, that I can reach more people if I get organized, right? So
yeah, that's right. And because people can track where their time and money and resources went to when you have that, and it's a way to also incentivize and reward the people for giving those businesses and stuff that they can do that and taking advantage of all the great government programs that we do have to help people out and so on and so forth. And that's why they're there, right? So we can do those things. So it's like I say, folks, I'm literally learning some of this real time with you while we're doing this, and that was kind of the purpose of it. So I learned a ton. With first of all from Dr. Stephen, who's a previous guest, and then we didn't even talk about this portion of it, you know what I mean? And then when Troy and Justin were in the building, learned a ton. And then when I finally got to meet you, which was great, and my own teeth, I'm so proud of them, because my own teeth were not even something that was, again, I told you before, I was like, it wasn't even on my radar. I got kids, so I'm focused on them, and I'm just like, I'm 44 years old. I got this far. Let's see what else they can do. I'm amazed at how big of a difference it made. But the coolest thing for me was getting to experience some of this stuff from, there's so many things that I want to clarify, right? Because first of all, the dentist is always. I have a real question. I want a real honest answer. Are you ready? All right. So the dentist is always somebody that's been feared, in TV shows and movies and the drill and all that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. Who are these dentists that are putting all these people through pain? I literally slept through what you guys did to me when, you know what I mean? I didn't feel a thing. So as a matter of fact, I slept better in your chair than I did the night before.
That's always the goal, Nick. I mean, we want to first learn what it is that you want to have accomplished, right? Once we learn that, the rest is easy, man. We just give you medicine, right, that will calm your mind and relax you, so that we can get you through the hardest part of the process, which is just preparing the teeth, making provisionals, making temporaries. And that's the hardest part. At the end of the game, when we install the veneers, it's easy for you. And you didn't remember the part, right, of preparing the teeth. And so if you had remembered that, right, the last phase of treatment would have been harder.
Sure.
right? Because you understood what you were laying there going through. I just wiped your memory for that visit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the difference in a doc that's experienced, right? Is we recognize those fears that patients have and what keeps them from actually getting the work accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
Time, fear, money, those three things, right? Those three things keep people from accomplishing their goals.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we can, fix that situation, it's easy to fix all three of those situations in dentistry.
Mm-hmm.
We have financing, right? You just have to make the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the fear, we have drugs for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So don't lose your teeth because you are afraid of the dentist.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a real fear, man. Like people get literally, because I'm military, I related to that, but you get PTSD from a dentist.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't realize it.
Mm.
I can't tell you how many times I've heard this, and every dentist in America, in the world, hears this, Well, the last dentist I went to, they had a little more work to do, and I was starting to feel it, and the doctor just kept saying, just hang on, we're almost done, right? I got 5 more minutes, right? And they kept drilling on my tooth, and I wasn't numb. Well, this gives you PTSD because you will never forget that pain that you experienced, right?
It is a unique pain for sure.
It's that close to your brain, right? It's one hand's length away from your brain and one hand's length away from your heart, right? That's your mouth, right? That's how sensitive. This is the central part of our body that keeps us alive, man.
Right.
That's why you can feel a grain of sand in your mouth between your teeth, right? That's how sensitive your mouth is, right?
Hi, folks. I'm your man, Nick Hyder, and I just want to say a quick thank you for all of you, the millions of you tuning into the Hitstreak. If you have not already, subscribe to the Hitstreak on all digital platforms. Share your favorite episodes with your friends, your team, literally whoever needs a lift. We've built a worldwide audience of millions, and we're just getting started. Every episode, we're breaking down the playbook of top performers so that you can get to that next level too. We're literally getting the information from the people that have it to the people that need it by bringing on guests that everybody knows and some that not everybody knows yet. So again, thank you for being a part of this movement. Keep listening, keep sharing, and keep leveling up with the Hitstreak. Again, I feel like, maybe dentists have gotten a little bit of a raw bit because of the way that you're perceived in movies and
Sure.
TV shows and whatnot. But I gotta say, so a couple of things. So first of all, the word sedated meant something different to me than I learned what it meant.
We have many levels of sedation. Nick,
That's right.
Right. It
That's
just
right.
depends on your headspace and where you're at. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on your fear level.
Mm-hmm.
And I ask people this, how fearful are you of having the procedure done? Some people need general anesthesia, and we provide that level of help too. Right. They're completely asleep, like going to the hospital.
Yeah. I
have some patients that are that fearful, but it makes it easy.
Well, thank goodness I didn't need all that. However, I remember talking to you in the very beginning, and I remember you leaning in to start preparing the first tooth, and I remember waking myself up snoring a couple times. And that's about it. And then we shot a time lapse of the whole thing, which was kind of cool. And I was watching myself sleep. I mean, it was literally like I took a picture of my teeth as they were before I sat down, and then we took a picture when I was leaving, and it was like now I will say the temporary ones looked incredible. Like I thought I was happy with the way the temporary ones looked until I got the ones I have today.
Right.
They were incredible.
The temporaries are based upon a preliminary wax up, right, of the way we want your teeth to look. So it gives us direction, and then you start wearing the temporaries, and then you can give us feedback, right? Mm-hmm. And then we just take that feedback and make the final product with it.
I didn't even, outside of the teeth that my kids have lost that I've held in my hand, or the ones that I lost that I held in my hand, I'd really not seen most of what I saw like in my own mouth. You know what I mean? Like I haven't seen what the inside back of the tooth looks like. So when you guys were telling me these are the temporaries, like I couldn't in my mind envision what it was that was actually in there. And it was until that I held it in my hand when we were done with them that I was like, the best way I knew how to describe it was, in the movies they're gonna have a building, and you're in that, and it's a facade. It's not a real building. There's nothing behind the front.
Right.
That's what it was. That was what it was kind of like. And once I held it in my hand, I'm like, now I get why they said what they told me to do, and now I understand why they said don't eat that or drink that, and so on. It made sense, because all I had to go off of was the 44 years with the actual bones that are my teeth today, right, or that were my teeth to go off of. I didn't realize that, like, literally, like, it was like just like almost like a curtain blocking the rest of the stage.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
But boy, did they look good. But again, I didn't realize just how fragile they could be. Now, some folks, I didn't have mine on too long. It was like maybe only like a week or so. Like some people do. Some people have to wear those.
I rush
longer.
all of the cases. I like veneers, because, like you said, it's only like a contact lens, right? It's on the front surface of your tooth. It's not going around your tooth 360 degrees like a crown, right? People call crowns are 360. And they stay put, right? But these veneers are just to the front surface of your tooth and the top edge, right? So it does make it really difficult. So I'm always rushing these cases, right? Because I know what's going to happen, right? You're going to pop a temporary off in your sleep. Yep. You're going to slide across and hit it, right?
Yep.
And if I make them in such a way that you're not going to do that, then, man, they don't look right.
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 That's right.
And so it's a balance. So we're always rushing that.
It was so impressive too, because, you know, with the production schedule that we already had in place, like, I couldn't be without. There was a lot of commitments that had to be honored while we were going through this for that entire first week.
I was on the edge, man.
Dude, you were amazing. How, like, because I came to see it for a couple, let's call them touch-ups, a couple times throughout the week, because, like, man, I got a big day tomorrow, and it's got I can't have one of them looking different than the rest or anything else. Like, it was like I say, all I got to say is I judge everybody by obviously quality of what they do, but the communication and just the best are the best people are the ones that are there for you when you need them. Right. And, like, I was a regular at your place for a few minutes, and it was every time I came in, I was in and out, even if it was after closing. I just got to say, it was a first class experience. And in 2025, that's rare, because with tech and growth and the scale of tech and everything else, more mistakes get made on a regular basis across the board than I think ever before. And, like, it was just, Doc, I just got to say, from you all the way down to everybody in the lab, it was just an unbelievable experience, man. I'm just grateful.
Thank you so much. We do our best every day, man. We're constantly striving to do better. I'm never happy, man. Like, I put your veneers in, there's always something that I wish that I would have done a little different, right?
Yep.
Or some imperfection that I wish was better. And that's the way I've been my whole life. I'm always striving to do better than the next, right? It's fun, man. It never gets boring.
No, I can imagine. I can imagine. All right, so let's get into. You were telling me some stories about kind of how you got into this, but what you were doing in the Air Force. Again, like, folks, when you get to the root of no pun intended, when you get to the root of why somebody does something, you really, like, understand why it is their passion and why it lights them up. And I heard a keynote speaker say one time from the stage, she said, "You make I define the word impact by when you take your God-given uniqueness and apply it to the marketplace." And I was like, that's a beautiful way to say that. I also love how you're most powerfully positioned to serve the person that you used to be, right? So it's all about the next generation and making the next generation better than the current one, right? That's what it's all about. So talk to me a little bit about how you saw some stuff in our armed forces, it's you probably had to be. It was probably a high stress environment, yeah.
Yeah. So I was attached to Eglin Air Force Base, so we were there with Rangers. They were riding in the C-130 gunships, right? And that's a jet fighter base down there. So I got to do some really cool stuff, man, some cool missions. And at one point I got to travel with a SEAL team, because when they travel, they're fighting, right, constantly, and you have to be there because they have to be mission ready at all times. And I can relate that to Smiles for Recovery, right? Like, these patients cannot be mission ready to complete their recovery, right, if they have toothaches. And so it's the same thing, right? The SEALs have to be mission ready to fight. Well, these people have to be mission ready to fight for their lives, right?
Yeah.
It's different, but it's the same mission, basically. So anyway, I got to do some really cool stuff. When I was in dental school, I was a second lieutenant in the Air Force. I joined while I was in dental school. And when I was a junior in dental school, that's during 9/11. So 9/11 happened, right? And so I was part of a team that was deployed, mini teams that were deployed to New York. And we were looking for body parts, identifying bodies. So my team identified about 100, out of all the bodies. We were there the second day.
Holy cow. We could do a whole episode just on what you probably saw that day. So we were just, my wife and son and I went to the memorial, and I'd never been, I'd been to the memorial when it was being, when all that was being put back together, like Ground Zero. But to see like the survivor staircase and everything in the museum, which is absolutely incredible, and all the art, the leftover pieces that they salvaged that's on display, it was unreal. What can you say about your time there? What you saw, like how could you prepare for something like that?
I mean, there's no way to prepare for that. I was a young, just come into the military, right? And I was with a team of expert forensic dentists is who I got the opportunity to go with. But we were literally just had body parts and wheelbarrows that we were running through x-ray units trying to find teeth, right? Or we'd have a body that was mangled, right? And we would give a positive identification, right, for that body. So what helped me is I knew I was giving families closure, right? So all of the loved ones, right, they at least knew that they had the body, right? So that's what drove me. And it was a great experience. I mean, really, it was very sad, right? Yeah. But a lot of great experience.
Excuse me. Well, like, and I knew that there was tons of teams that were digging and trying to find people and find everything, literally.
They would find heads.
Oh my goodness.
Without bodies, right? And so we had to, figure out who that was. And it's really hard, man, because not all dentists keep great records, right? And so everybody's mouth is different, and restorations in your mouth, it's better than a fingerprint or very similar to that. So, but you have to have accurate records from the previous doctor, right, to be able to match things up. Yeah. So that's something that makes it difficult in forensic dentistry.
That's the courage it would take to do that, because there was so much unknown about, there was so much gasoline and I mean, just, the dangers from just the air and the surface that you guys were touching and stuff, and like everything else. There was a lot unknown. It was unbelievably brave to go into a situation like that.
Nobody in that recovery process was thinking about that. All we could think about, man, was actually, finding everybody. Yeah. That was the mission,
Excuse me. Well, and that was, I can, everybody remembers that was alive back then where they were at on that day and when that happened. And it happened on 9/11. What, were you there, like you were there like next day?
We were there the next day. I flew out that night. So we had.
Just getting there would have been a challenge, because flights were grounded and.
Well, we rode in C-130s. Oh, so, wow. Yeah, we were there. We have no obstacles as far as that goes. The military, man, they're going to get there. So, yeah, I wasn't flying commercially or anything.
Wow. Well, so I don't know if I've told you yet, but thank you for your service, by the way.
Man. You're very welcome.
That's incredible. It's incredible. So, all right.
But let me go back to that. Like, the training I got in the military, right, is different than other general dentists. I mean, I spent 2 years, man, of doing nothing but hospital-based training with 2 colonel specialists in every facet of dentistry, right? Like, I had 2 oral surgeons who were colonels that I worked under. and the level of training is absolutely incredible. You know, I spent 3 months of doing nothing but anesthesia. So for cardiothoracic surgery, I was intubating the patients and running the anesthesia for these surgeries, right? That was the level of training we had. So doing surgery and sedation and all that, it's just second nature for me, you know, and that helps people get through it. You know?
And you guys, obviously, you're trying to get guys back out onto the into serving, into fighting, and everything else. So you had to act quick. I mean, it's a totally different. It's just such a totally different setting from what from where I was just at.
It is.
You know what I mean? It's insane. Where all across the world were you guys doing that stuff?
So I was at Eglin Air Force Base in Florida, and then I was in Little Rock. So I didn't go very far from home. But my wife is from Lebanon, same place I'm from, and it was hard to talk her into going to California or wherever. So I stayed within an 8-hour radius of home.
That's smart. That's smart. How long? So walk me through. So how old were you? What year? What was the timeline from when you first joined till when you were done and getting ready to go on to the next thing?
So I joined when I was 23 years old.
Yep.
Became a second lieutenant while I was in school, and upon graduation, you become a captain, and that's in the Air Force. Navy is lieutenant, but once I lost my train of thought there. So I became a captain at that point. When I graduated dental school, I was 27.
Okay.
Right. And so did the military work and then came back home and started my private practice 3 years later. So I was 30 years old when I started my private practice in Lebanon.
Wow.
And 20 years ago. I'm 50 now.
Okay.
Just turned 50 in January.
My man, so let's go. Man.
Half a century, baby. I made it.
That's right. That's right. Well, like my wife is from Watertown, which is the suburb of Lebanon, let's just say. Right. And it's, and one, Lebanon's grown a ton, but you also went to college at the great Cumberland University, where you played baseball for the great Woody Hunt. And I know that, I know all that well, but like it's I've been blown away at how many connections that you and I have alike, and I didn't even know you prior to all this, just from the exposure, letting people know who was taking care of me, and how many people are like, oh, he's my dentist. Tell him we said hello, or I love Dr. Pryor. Like you've reached a ton of people, and you did it the good old fashioned way with just good quality work and word of mouth.
That's right. I don't hurt people, man, so they come back.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about the businessman for a second, because again, going back to what I saw, where you guys are at, even like you can get into how you structured it, if you want to, but like just building it 2,400 square feet at a time, renting it to somebody while you're paying for it to get into it, and so on and so forth. Like, dude, you're literally describing most founders' story. Okay, so none of us are exempt from it. All right, nobody's undefeated, but like let's talk about like just getting started, because I want to know, like, what was year one like? You know what I mean? How did you get your first patient, and now serving like 10,000? Like it's an unbelievable story. Like this is a great from a success story with business and community and everything else. This is incredible, Doc. Like I want to make sure that we paint this picture.
Thank you. Well, when I first came back from the military, I got out a little early. I was actually supposed to be there another year, but they cut my orders and let me go early, which is great, because dentists, it's always based on what the military's needs are at that moment in time, right?
Yep.
So different administrations and stuff, they will cut certain things, right? So anyway, I got out early, and so I came back home and I didn't have anywhere to practice. So I started my practice in a little home on West Main Street in Lebanon, right? And I put 2 dental chairs in the living room. And that's where I started. I plumbed the chairs myself. My father and my family are electricians. Okay. That's what my family does.
All right.
And that's what my brother does. He's a master electrician. My grandfather, we owned a little electric company in Lebanon back in the 80s, right? Anyway, I learned a lot working in the summers with my father, and so I was able to wire and plumb everything myself. It's very, very mediocre startup, right? But I built a partition wall in the middle of the living room, right? And I put 2 dental chairs in there, and I had a little curtain that I would slide back and forth, and had the X-ray unit in the middle. Literally, That's how I started. And so the first day that they were installing the chairs, right, the dental supply company, it was like 2:00 in the afternoon, man. And these guys were in there cranking the chairs, and I had patients calling with toothaches. And so I was in there right on top of these guys, and I was like, man, you got to hurry up, dude. I got somebody coming with a toothache at 3:30. It's like 2:00. These guys were sweating, man, and they're cranking these chairs together, right, putting all the backboards on them and everything. But that's how I started, man. And 2 dental chairs, right? And so over the next year, what we did was we built the first 2,400 square feet. And so I moved those 2 dental chairs when it was completed, right, to my new one, and I bought 2 more chairs. So I had 4 dental chairs at that point. And that's how I started, man.
Dang.
I did that for a couple of years, and then I found another local doctor who needed more space, right? And so by doing that, I was able to go and borrow more money to increase the square footage of my building. That's how I did it. So I signed the lease with a doctor, right? The bank said, all right, you got somebody that's going to lease, we can build the rest of it, right?
Yep.
And I just did that 4 times.
Wow.
I had a sleep clinic in my building at one point, but yeah, I just didn't have the money to do it all at once. I grew up on McLean Avenue, man, right next to Cumberland. My mother worked 3 jobs. She was divorced when I was 10 years old. You know, I was in the same bedroom with my brother till I was 13.
Wow.
Like my mother slept on the couch.
Okay.
You know? So that's where I came from, right? And I love that, man, because it made me stronger, right? I didn't know what I was missing, honestly. So I've been working my whole life, and it's just such a cool thing to be involved with what we're doing. It's such a privilege, right? To be a dentist or medical doctor or whatever, it's a tremendous privilege. And I think a lot of us really lose sight of that, you know, of how important it is. So,
well, again, like the word dentist is just always, I feel like it's been mislabeled, misused. It's like, you know, I mean, I was very blessed with strong, healthy teeth. Like, you know, I've got a cavity that you told me about that we're going to get taken care of, but like that's literally like only like my second or third one ever in life. You know, I mean, I don't think I had my first one until I was in my 30s.
yeah.
So, extremely blessed to have healthy teeth, and so like, you know, I never got why it was such a bad thing to go to the dentist. I always had a good experience at the dentist. You know. Good tasting. You know, I never will forget that wintergreen stuff they would clean your teeth with, and you know, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I always liked the dentist. My mom always had horror stories at the dentist because she's like, I didn't take care of my teeth, and I had a horrible time. They didn't have the technology, and I guess there was a lot more pain back in 40 or 50 years ago than there is now.
Yeah, they weren't focused on making sure you were comfortable. They were focused on completing the task.
Yeah.
Right. That's the difference.
Yep.
So now there's so many dentists, right, that if you don't focus on making sure the patient's comfortable, right, you're not going to build your business. It's not a practice builder. Like, just like you, like patients need to not remember the bad.
Yep.
Remember all the good.
That's right. That's right.
Remember them being placed, right?
That's right.
Not the preparation.
That's right. That's right.
So a lot of psychology, you know.
Are you ready to take your brand digital? At HitLab Creative, we don't just make content. We build your digital foundation from the ground up. So whether you're launching a podcast, creating scroll-stopping social media content, or building a website that actually converts, we connect all the dots. Podcast production, CRM systems, content strategy, data analytics, branding, it's all under one roof. Because in today's world, content without strategy, it's just noise. And you're here to make an impact. So if you're ready to launch smarter, grow faster, and create with a purpose, it's time to team up with the HitLab. Visit hitlabstudio.com/studio-time and let's build something that lasts. Because the HitLab is where digital strategy meets data-driven content creation. So talk to me a little bit about the different types of veneers. Okay, so veneers is something that, maybe 10 years ago they started becoming more and more of a common word. But I'll be the first to tell you, I just assumed all veneers were. When I started looking into this, I was like, some people, there's no teeth and they're drilled into, like, there's a bunch of the gum removed and there's screws put in, and that's where everything's kind of put in. At first, I thought, well, if they're adding gum, I've already got gum. Does that mean everything's going to stick out? Like there was just so much. There's very little easily accessible information about like all the different types of veneers. I was shocked at how much of my actual teeth that I actually got to keep when you were prepping for mine versus like a buddy of mine. He showed me pictures of his, and they looked like little bitty Tic Tacs that they used, type thing. So like there's a lot of, let's just say, misconception about actual veneers, what they are, if you should get them or not, like even like how long they can last, and so on and so forth. So let's just clear all that up right now. What are all the different types of like veneer?
So the veneer, the benefit to that is to be less invasive. So someone like yourself, like you said, you've only had a few cavities in your life, right? Your teeth are pretty solid. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to remove what God has built, right? Mm-hmm. Like God has built a tooth structure. It's the hardest substance in the human body. Mm-hmm. So the more that I can save and maintain, the longer it's going to allow us to maintain your natural tooth structure, right? Mm-hmm. Which is healthier for you. Why? Because nothing lasts forever, right?
That's right.
Nothing in the human body lasts forever, not implants, not veneers, none of that stuff unless you maintenance it. Mm-hmm. And so we know this, right? So I pay attention because I'm anticipating one day that we may have to revamp the veneers, right? Like 20 years from now, right? You've got really great hygiene. So that's why people lose veneers, is because they keep the same habits they had before the veneers, right? Oftentimes. And they're not cleaning between their teeth. They're not using water picks. These things cause you to get recurrent decay up underneath the restoration. And so when we do a veneer, we still have more tooth structure that we can encase, right, with a crown, right? And so that's the benefit to doing veneers. Veneers can be, we do prepless veneers, okay? So if a patient has a certain type of smile, we don't have to necessarily cut the teeth back as much in order to make them look normal again, right? Mm-hmm. Like we can actually make like a contact lens and bond it to the front of their teeth. Mm-hmm. And those are only certain situations. It's hard to do that on every case because teeth are rotated. They have spaces, things like this usually dictate some type of preparation of the tooth. Okay. Right? So we have to sand it some. And like in your case, it was minimal. Like I tried to keep all the great tooth structure we could, all the enamel we could, right? But we're having to change the gum line, right? Like, so in your case, we were trying to make it more symmetrical, right? So we changed the height of the tissue, and I use a little laser to do that, and that's part of the process.
I literally slept through it.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's the whole point, right?
I remember you saying you did that to my gums, and I remember getting home and I was looking in the mirror. I'm like, I don't remember it. And like, it looked so natural already, even just like hours after I got home, the moment I could smile again when the medicine had wore off, it was, like I say, it's just, I'm still learning. Every dentist I've ever gone to for the last 15 years has asked me about my jaws. Like, hey man, are your jaws clicking? Do they bother you? No. Okay. That was pretty much how it went. I always wondered why they asked that. Yeah. And over time, I noticed that my face shape is even a little different from 25 to 44. And you were the one that I didn't believe it for the longest time. You're like, dude, you grit your teeth like 24/7, like you're squeezing them all the time. And I was like, no, I don't think so. Well, I can feel it now. Like I can actually feel it. Like it's been one of the coolest things. I love to disrupt patterns. You have to change and to grow. There's usually patterns that have to be broken, right? Just subconscious patterns that you're not even aware of.
Right.
This has been awesome for me because like something I wasn't even aware that I was doing. Now I am actually able to catch myself doing it just because everything in my mouth is slightly different.
Yeah.
It's
if you feel your teeth come together, you should open your mouth. Right. Like, that's right. You should not even, your teeth don't come together when you're chewing your food. People don't realize that, but you have food between your teeth, right? Mm-hmm. So it's never kosher, right, to put your teeth together and squeeze them. That's not normal.
Yeah.
But people do it all the time.
Even working out with the temporaries in, I was working out with my mouth open. You know what I mean? Dude, I breathe better.
That's right. It holds your mandible forward, see, while you're breathing. Mm-hmm. And so that's oftentimes why people squeeze their teeth in their sleep. It keeps your airway open. So we do it for many reasons. It's not just stress, right?
Yep.
Because you're a healthy guy, but you're clamping up so that you can move air. right?
That's right.
So
That's right.
You got to wear a mouthpiece to protect yourself from yourself.
Absolutely. And again, if you'd have told me that before all this,
Right.
I would have totally agreed with you and not done any of it. You know what I mean? I'm that guy. But like, again, a couple things. One, I got something better to protect and to, let's just say, live for now. Right. But at the same time, like I can actually feel it now because the other teeth that I had grinded into the patterns that they were. They just naturally rested there.
That's right.
I wasn't aware. Now I'm aware of so much more of what's happening. Again, there's been nothing but, and it's still very new. As we're sitting here recording this today, this is day 8. Day 8 since I've had them, and I can tell you it was about 2 days before they felt just absolutely like they'd been there the whole time. It took 2 days where you bite onto something and you can feel the pull on the other side just a little bit because everything's a little different. Within 2 days, it had all the swelling had come down. It was done. It was done. Dude, it was awesome. All right. I got off track a little bit. I want to go back to the businessman a little bit because scaling real estate, scaling the practice, partnering up, all while you're staying on top of your game as a surgeon, as a practitioner, there wasn't a lot of time. We all get the same 24 hours. All right. And it takes a lot of courage to take on the debt from the bank and the partners and everything else. So like the story that we're telling today is, so tell me again, what year was it? What year are you in right now with Pryor Family Dentistry?
Year number 20. So
number 20.
I graduated 23 years ago from dental school. Yep. 2002 is when I graduated from dental school.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I've been practicing 23 years, private practice 20 years.
Wow. So as you were building out that spectacular space that I've been to out in Lebanon, what years were you, so you built phase 1, obviously in the beginning.
Yeah.
All right. The first 2,400 square feet. What was the timeline of the next 3 additions, I guess? And I want to really talk about each wing and what the purpose of it, and then the people inside of it, because like that was the thing is you built it, but then you had to put the right people in there.
That's right. I built it around spaces. So I built it around a sleep clinic. So like the first phase was completed in 2006. 2008, I built the second space because I had another leaser come in that wanted room. See, I bought a 1 acre of space in the middle of Lebanon.
Location's unbelievable.
There was nothing there, dude. Like literally it was next to Kroger, right? Back in the cut. I mean, I don't even have a sign, man. Like I haven't had a sign for 20 years. I mean,
wow.
But this is the first time I've ever done any like major, this is all new to me, right? I've always done it through word of mouth. So I believe in building relationships with all my patients, right? That's something I do different. Everyone, when I get in that room, it may take me a while, right? But once I get in that room, I'm focused on learning what your individual unique needs are, right? And I spend time because like I was telling you earlier, you have to understand people's psychological aspect before you can fix their mouth. You got to understand the patient attached to the teeth. And
Fact.
Until doctors realize that, their practice is very difficult. They're so focused. Because I think back to when I was a younger dentist, right? I'm so focused on doing high quality work, right? That I'm not focused on what am I working on? Who am I working on, right? Like I've got to keep you calm so I can do great work.
Yeah. Yeah. I was amazed at what you guys are able to do. Again, like you're literally working upside down, backwards. You're in like the smallest working space ever with like the smallest, tiniest tools.
Looking through microscopes, right? We're all looking through microscopes all day, man. I'm looking at tiny,
It's just a spectacular. I mean, it really is spectacular. So, all right. So, and correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, but like a lot of practices that do this stuff will, they'll scan your mouth and the teeth are made somewhere else, and then sent there. That's not the case for you guys, though, right?
Right. So what happened to me is that. So in growing up, while I was going to undergraduate school at Cumberland, right, I was working in a dental laboratory, and it just happened to be my girlfriend's father, right? It was a master dental technician. That's how I got into dentistry, right? I started building teeth in a laboratory, so I can like wax a dental framework, put teeth on it, finish it, polish it, hand it to a doctor, right? it's very rare, man, that you can find a dentist that does that. And so that's what gave me such great building blocks to jump off of. And I was also in the trenches working in the laboratory, right? Like I was talking to other dentists all over the area and learning, you know, what that side was like. And I was getting a biology degree and chemistry degree at Cumberland. And I thought, man, this is a super cool job. I want to be a dentist, right? And so I didn't decide that until I was a sophomore in dental and undergraduate.
Okay.
So I was literally sophomore in college before I decided to become a dentist. I was actually thinking I was going to be an FBI agent.
Okay.
Right. That's what I wanted to do. TBI forensics.
Okay.
That's what I was interested in.
Makes sense how you got into the dental part and identifying stuff.
That's right.
So when you were in serving time in the Air Force and then even doing the stuff for 9/11, like you were living out your dream a little bit as an FBI agent.
That's right, man.
Doing that. How cool is that?
It was super cool. I've been living my dream my whole life. I mean, I am truly, when I look at the American dream, I feel like my life has been like that. And I've just been so fortunate. You know, I've been able to make the right decisions as I went down the line, right? And I just got lucky, really. And I had great people around me, right? People that believed in me. My wife, right? Like she's very unique, man, where she's a school teacher, but she's deaf. She can't hear anything, right? So she can actually teach people how to read by reading their lips.
Wow.
And so she's great to take to a football game, right? Because you can see what the coaches, I mean, she's translating, right?
Oh, wow.
What they're saying, she's the reason they hold that thing over their face, right?
That's right. That's exactly right.
They hold the cover up. It's because of people like her. So anyway, like it's great, man. Like my children, they learn how to look people in the eye when they're speaking to them because my wife can't hear them if they're not looking her in the eye.
Right.
She's reading their lips.
Wow.
And so it really helped them grow up too, you know, they on communication.
Yeah.
You know.
So I didn't know that. So she's deaf. So do you know sign language then?
She reads my lips.
Really?
Yeah. But if we're sitting in a car, man, she can literally not hear up anything. Like if there's no radio on, there's just she and I in the car, she can't hear anything.
Wow.
You know, but she has to look at you to read your lips. But she's incredible where she's adapted, right?
Yeah.
She doesn't know sign language.
Wow.
And she does all of this by reading lips.
That's incredible.
She's incredible.
That's incredible.
She spent most of the time with the kid, raising the kids and stuff while I was pursuing going to school, you know, studying surgery, you know, spending time in cadaver labs, stuff like that, right? Like she's the one at home, man, raising our kids, you know, and doing such a wonderful job. So,
well, I want to, you know, the purpose of this podcast, you know, we're bringing people that everybody knows and some people that not everybody knows yet. We're breaking down the playbook of top performers so you can get those next levels of success too, right? Man, like as just the businessman and taking over 20, so first of all, just staying open 20 years, not even if you didn't take home $1, just keeping the doors open 20 years is a major compliment. It's incredibly difficult, but to grow from where you started up to where you are now, how you've reorganized everything and now put the 501c3 almost front and center right in the middle of everything that you guys are doing and touching. It's absolutely incredible. But like, I just, you know, honestly, man, you're qualified to be working with business owners on how to grow their business and scale. Like it's unbelievable because every time you added a wing, it was almost like adding a new location.
That's right. It had new equipment, new staff, right, to help run it. That's I didn't really feel like it was a major task, though. I did it more out of necessity, right? Like because I was so busy, man, I had to have more room.
Yeah.
That's what I always thought, right? But in business, it's probably better if I'd have stayed a little smaller, right? I could control things a little better.
Sure.
But I was always under the impression I need another chair, needed more room, right?
Yeah.
It's more space so I can put more patients in the chair.
Yep, that's right.
And that's what I did, you know. Looking back on it, I probably would have gone with just 6 treatment rooms, right? If I had it to do over again and start over. Yeah. Because you can keep all your problems in a small area, right?
Well, at the same time too, but like think about what that qualified you to do, and the fact that now you're trying to train people nationwide to do what you guys do for the nonprofit for Smiles for Recovery. Like so now your ability to scale and extend yourself in other people under the same roof. It's just, it might be 6,000 square feet to the east. You know what I mean? It's, which is, I mean, again, if you want to get a tour of your spot, you need to block off a couple of hours. It's big, and there's a lot going on. And you guys are literally like you showed me in the back where they were crafting I saw my teeth before they were installed and put into my own face. I keep saying installed when I'm talking to Justin all the time. That's not the right word. What is it?
Well, that's a good term,
Okay.
Seated. That's what oftentimes in the dental office, all the staff is saying we have to seat the veneers, right? But they're actually installed. They're bonded, right? So we chemically bond them to your teeth. Mm-hmm. We don't glue them, right? Mm-hmm. They're chemically bonded. Mm-hmm. So if one comes off, part of your tooth comes off with it usually, right?
That's right.
You've hit your tooth really hard, man, to break it.
That's right.
Right.
Well, I was just amazed at what they were building and like they were making back there.
So the reason I started that is because I was doing such a high volume of work, right? And I had so many restorations. I was having to wait like 8 weeks to get products back.
Oh, wow.
Right. So I would have somebody in temporaries for 8 weeks, man, and it was driving me crazy.
Yeah.
And so piece by piece, man, I actually have built a full service laboratory where I can build any product that's needed in dentistry to restore teeth, right, in my house. Mm-hmm. And it's been it's been hard, man, to actually get the teammates in there to do this, right? Mm-hmm. Like you have to have a race car driver to drive the equipment. The dentist can't do it. Mm-hmm. We're too busy cutting teeth, right?
That's right.
And so that's what a lot of dentists that want to do this, they don't really understand it. They want to buy this equipment, have 3D printers, right? But man, you got to have a race car driver that can be in here. And fortunately for me, I have my oldest son, Owen, who I've been training to design my smiles. And it's just amazing and incredible to be able to work with him every day. Mm-hmm. That's what I love about it.
He's impressive. That was where I was going next. That's a perfect segue. Yeah, dude. Owen has, so first of all, when you guys were putting in my permanent ones, Owen was helping you out. And honestly, that was my favorite part about the whole thing, was getting to watch a father and son interact the way that y'all did, because, excuse me, I'm very close to my 15-year-old son. He works here. He's here all the time. He's one of our camera guys. He's produced podcast episodes. He's been a guest, and watching, like, I'm always I look up to a lot of people, and I'm always looking for the dynamics in those relationships. And what I saw when I saw you working with your son on my face, I was like, I want that. Like, that's something that, like, I was sitting there in the chair dreaming about my own son while y'all were doing that, which was really, really cool. Just listening to y'all talk back and forth in the banter, and you explaining to him. It's so funny because, you're a perfectionist, and there's no doubt about that. And you understand the little things are the big things. You've been burned every way you can be burned. You've made all the mistakes you can make. He hasn't yet. And, when you're like, hold this just a certain way and that, and like I could hear myself over and over again with my own son, just because it's like, again, history is viewed in it with the 2020 lens. You know what I mean? Right. And everything that I'm telling him from experience is as clear vision as you can get. You know what I mean? And it's something that he hasn't even seen yet before. Right. And that is like, it was such a cool thing. But tell me more about Owen, because he's a businessman. He's got a little app that he's been working on that's really impressive. I'm actually interested to sink my teeth into that sucker myself and see where that's going to go. But like Owen is a third generation.
Owen is third generation dental technician, right? Like, so his grandfather's a master technician. I was a master technician, and then he is becoming one, and it's in his blood, man. He's got it. And he is a business guy. Like, he has made what do you call it? CRM. Mm-hmm. All right. So he has a CRM for getting acts scheduled, like musical acts scheduled throughout the whole country. Mm-hmm. But it's super cool.
So like all your favorite restaurants that have late night, whether it's a band going on stage, a songwriter with a guitar, or even a DJ, right? Right now, those guys are all like, the hardest thing to do as a former club owner was you had to contact the talent direct. There wasn't like a hub where you could go through and quickly do those things, and even, schedule people out in advance and so on and so forth. It was difficult, and then that you might book somebody and they get a bigger gig somewhere else and you lose them last minute. It was a lot. It was a lot going on. And if you had to replace them, when we first got into it, didn't know anybody. One of the hardest things to do is put somebody on stage that could keep an audience, you know, it's really important. As a matter of fact, the musical act is who drives the revenue. You control if they go to the bar and get a drink or if they dance or whatever else. Right. So when I used to work in the DJ booth like that, I was always taught, dude, the third song, you got to rotate the bar. Like everybody at the bar needs to come dance floor and everybody dance floor and go back to get another drink. Yeah. So it's a very valuable tool that he's got. And when he was showing me that, I was like, bro, the infrastructure's there. He's got database already put in. He's got locations already confirmed. And it's like what I saw, it was like, if it's not already taken off, it's like it's about to launch. Like he's about to have a launch party for that sucker.
He just has to find the right partner. Right?
Yeah.
Like he's developed it. Mm-hmm. And Owen is a likable person. He'll eventually run into them, and I'd love for him to work with you on it. I mean, I want to keep him, you know, part of me doesn't want that to get out, right? Because I know it's going to blow up, man. But I think that Owen, he is unique, man, in the fact that he is making the products, right? And he's actually seeing the products be installed in the patient's mouth. Mm-hmm. And there's no other lab technician can get that type of experience. We're sitting there at the bench building the teeth, right? Mm-hmm. Then we mail it to the doctor or deliver it. We never see it be placed in the mouth.
Wow.
See the difference?
Yeah.
So that's what makes Owen unique. Mm. And man, I am coaching him like you would not believe, like a military drill sergeant, right? Like we're in sync.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And there aren't many people that can beat us, right?
I agree.
Because we're so in tune, man. Like we had a class this past weekend. We did a restoration called an FP1, right? And this is one that most of the time when patients are getting implants and stuff, we're removing a lot of bone, right? Okay. And that's a big deal in implant dentistry. You have to have enough bone reduction so that you have enough prosthetic space to make that so that it doesn't break, right? Mm. But we have found that there's a cookie cutter method to doing full arch implant dentistry so that all dentists can eventually maybe get into this, right? Mm-hmm. But we're cutting off way too much bone in many cases. Mm. And what happens is that these cases have to be revised later in life, right? And so what happens is that the patient ends up with no bone left at all.
Oh, wow.
And so now we're having to do things called remote anchorage and actually go in basically into the cheekbones and into the skull, right? Mm. To engage the bone to get enough anchorage to hold the teeth. Mm-hmm. And so these are things I'm thinking about because I see failures a lot, right? Patients keep the same habits.
Yep.
So the same thing that made you lose your natural teeth, right, are going to make you lose your implants or your veneers or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So this is important, and educating patients on this stuff is extremely critical. Mm. How to take care of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how many times have you been to have your hygienist clean your teeth and she said, oh, you need to floss more right here, but she doesn't actually let you hold a mirror and physically show you how to do it.
Right. That's right.
I mean, I had a hygienist my whole life and never showed me that.
Yeah.
They would always just say, you need to floss more here. You got to use a water pick, right? But they don't spend that extra 2 or 3 minutes to actually educate you and show you how to do it.
That's right. It's one, seeing is believing. You know, we've all heard that, but like, again, it's lost in translation. You know, what was, when you guys said these temporary ones are thin, I define
millimeter.
Yeah, I define thin a little different. You know what I mean? It was it was crazy, but no, it was really cool. Like it's a beautiful establishment. It's a family environment. Everybody's in a good mood. It's just, dude, I don't know, man. I've had an office full of people. As a coach and an athlete, I understand the team atmosphere and the structure and how valuable is the people are at the top to define the culture and how all that plays out. And let's just say it could be a high stress atmosphere at any time. And in some places it is all the time, but it wasn't that way there. And you guys literally, I was getting a tour. We had camera people in there and everything else, and it was just business as usual. And like, folks, you just don't understand. Like, do you know how many rooms, how many chairs are in the current spot now?
So I have 13 treatment rooms, and there's probably 20 rooms. You know, we have photography in some rooms. We have laboratory space and some, but yeah, 13 treatment rooms. We have 4 hygienists, 3 hygienists at the moment, but 1 part-time hygienist, but we're always growing, man. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. I never turn new patients away. I always like to meet new people, right? I have an associate with me too, also Dr. William Axtell, and Dr. Axtell came to me from Georgia.
Okay.
And he went through a training program, and so he's allowed me to increase access to care too. And he's a great implant doc. I mean, he places implants and he does many of the same things that I do. And he's been, we've just got a good working relationship, and I've really enjoyed having him around. He's been there 2 years now.
Are you ready to transform your business and unlock new revenue streams? At Processing First, we empower our partners with cutting-edge payment solutions and unparalleled support. We're more than just a one-size-fits-all payment processor. We're relationship-driven. By leveraging our extensive network of banking partners, we match you with the ideal bank to ensure that you receive the most competitive rates and deliver an exceptional experience for both you and your customers. Join a network that values transparency, efficiency, and growth. With our state-of-the-art POS systems and competitive processing rates, you can offer your clients the best in payment technology while boosting your own profitability. Why choose Processing First? Innovative solutions. Stay ahead with our advanced payment processing tools. Dedicated support. Our team is here to assist you every step of the way. Lucrative opportunities. Enhance your income by providing top-tier services to your clients. Don't settle for less. Partner with Processing First and take your business to the next level. Visit processingfirst.com to learn more and join our growing community of successful partners. Picking the wrong partner is that's kind of like what they say about a good neighbor. You don't know what a good neighbor is until you've had a bad one, and the wrong partner in business is catastrophic.
I've had doctors run patients off, right? And it's really hard to work in my practice because when I walk into the room to meet a patient, I am so focused, man, on trying to make sure that patient never wants to go anywhere else, right? I'm zoned in, man, to try to convince you that we can, provide the level of care that we're suggesting that you need. And that's where the younger docs, they miss that point,
Oh, yeah.
They're not going to beat me, man, because I'm zoned in, right?
Yep.
They're just in there trying to, well, you need a filling here, you need a crown here, right? They're not building that relationship.
It's a transactional relationship versus
so it's like any other business, right?
Yeah.
You got to build that rapport with the patients because it's important.
Absolutely.
Right? You're working in people's mouths, it's like a hairdresser. I bet you go to the same person every time, right? And you're not changing that, man.
Nope. Like clockwork. Every 3 weeks.
That's right.
She's been my stylist since about 2004, maybe. Same girl. The only other person that's ever cut my hair was me. For a limited amount of time. And now my son goes there. My wife goes there, and our daughter is getting her first. As we're sitting here today. What's today? Tuesday? Yeah. So on Thursday, when we get our next haircut, because we book them two haircuts in advance. I can tell you when I'm getting haircuts all summer.
Yeah.
But she's getting her first haircut by the same spots. The whole family's going to be in there getting haircuts, and they do. But you're exactly right. It's that important.
So when you're trying to scale and you have another doctor come into the space, right? It's hard for people to accept that person because they're used to seeing you, right? And that has been the hardest part for me.
Yeah.
To scale my business is to replicate myself.
That's right.
You can't do it.
That's right.
So constantly coaching, man.
Yep. And that's the hardest part for me. It's the hardest part for pretty much most good founders, right? And especially people that they start their business in the trenches. They are the business. And then it is hard. I've found that there's a strategy to that. The first things first is you introduce the next person to them and you help them build that relationship, and you kind of know when it's time you can turn them loose type thing, Right. But if it's just like, hey, you've seen me every time you've been in here for the last 6 years, this is Steve, take it away. And then you just disappear. It feels like a little bit of a rip.
That's right.
It feels like a little bit of a rip.
That's what I'm always trying to prevent, right? Because I'm so busy doing treatment in other rooms, right? And he's doing a lot of the examinations and stuff, you know, and I do try my best to introduce him to all patients, the patients that have been my patients for 20 years, right? I still have people come there that have been going for 20 years, 18 years, right?
Yep.
And it's a shock, man, when somebody walks in that room and they're different, right?
So, that's right. I've always, my dad always taught me when he was in the music business and he was in that on the weekends he was in a band forever. And Dad always said, like, if I'm the worst person and if I'm the worst musician in the band, we're going to be real good.
That's right.
You know, and I always loved that. And that's kind of like how, when we have to hand off, when we pair a customer or a client to somebody other than myself, it's one of those things where, like, when I bring in specialists. Okay, everybody's a specialist, and each client needs something special, something unique to them. And usually that's what makes that transition for me happen easier is, one, there's an introduction made, and hey, what you need is X. We both agree on that, and this person's actually better at that than I am. Right. So let me go on ahead and let's insert them here. Now you get both of us for a little while until eventually they're just like, what's Nick here for?
Right.
He's just in the way. And let me get out of the way. And that's usually when it happens and it goes pretty good. But that's hard. And it's the timing's different for everybody. And because there's people involved and every person's 100% unique.
Right.
But that one experience, in my opinion, is nobody's undefeated. We're all going to make mistakes. And that one experience, when you can give somebody an enhanced relationship with somebody else, let's just say there's 5 mistakes that might happen over the course of a lifetime of the thing like that. There's certain people that I work with that if they make one mistake, that's one too many, and I'm out. They haven't, but like, you earn that trust, and it's like, well, mistake was made, they fixed it, they owned it, boom, right there in the beginning, and they're like, yeah, I couldn't wait to get back in the first place, So like in my mind, when you make that transition right, long story longer, that's like I guess it creates room for error, it creates margin for error, where all of a sudden one small mistake doesn't define a customer's whole entire experience with you.
I got you.
You know what I mean? So for me, that's been, at least in the world of branding and content and podcasting, that's been a big thing. Is everybody around me is better at what they do than I am, right? And that's on purpose. They have to be a level up. So if I'm the top dog here, then if you're not working with me, it's a little bit of a letdown, in my opinion, right? So, but if I can hand you off to somebody better, everybody wins. You know what I mean? And I still get some credit for that selfishly. Hey. Nick's the guy that put us together, So I love it. Well, Doc, there was so much that to get into while we're here, but like the biggest thing that I want to make sure that we cover is the biggest needs for Smiles for Recovery, because as we learned with Dr. Steven when he was here, the dope sick epidemic is real, and I don't see it going anywhere. I just don't. And sadly enough, I don't see it going anywhere, not anytime soon. So it's an ongoing issue, and the hardest thing to do is when somebody has been healed, is to keep them healed. Right? Is keeping them healed harder than healing them in the first place?
Oh, most definitely.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So people start out on pills that they steal from their parents, medicine cabinet, right? And then they alienate everybody around them that would love them, right, and give them help. And then they're having to get fentanyl. That's what happens. It's $3 a hit, right? And so, because you're addicted to that narcotic.
Yeah.
And your body goes into what we said earlier, withdrawals, right? You go through detox. So you have to have that next hit. And that's what we're going to all be dealing with. If we don't help these patients, right, we're all going to deal with it, because they're going to break in your garage. They have to have the drug.
They can't help it.
They're not trying to hurt you, right? They're trying to get money to get the drug. And they'll do what they have to do to get it, because their body hurts so bad if they don't take it. And that's the problem, right? And that's the cycle, man. And like, if they have bad teeth, they cannot get out of it.
Yeah.
They're always hurting.
That's right. That's right. And it's and literally, like, every time they look in the mirror, it's a reminder.
It is. And they have to hang around the same people, right?
Dude, I just had an epiphany. So like, one of the things when we've talked about this a lot. I was 27 years old, I guess. 26 when I played my last baseball game. All right. My last professional baseball game with purpose. I may have partook in an alumni game or something past that, but my real baseball game. And when I was done and I got home, it was almost like 4 years went by, and I finally it dawned on me. I'm like, I don't play baseball anymore yet. When I look in the mirror, I still see a baseball player. I was dressing the same, had the same habits, same routine, same hours, everything.
Right.
There just wasn't the paid baseball part that was a part of it. I had to, for other people to see me as anything other than a baseball player, I had to give them a fighting chance. And if I'd looked exactly the same, why would I expect them to not judge a book by the cover and be like, oh, well, that's just Nick, the baseball player. Right. I had to become Nick, whatever I was going to become next, the businessman or whatever it was, right? And so for me, the transition for me started, the evolution started the moment I started changing what I saw in the mirror. And I think that's incredibly relevant for these people in recovery. It's hard for them to not see an addict when they look in the mirror and see the addict because of the damage to their teeth that the addiction caused.
You're exactly right. They can't get past it. The teeth is a huge barrier, right, to recovery.
Dr. The big debate with Dr. Stephen Lloyd, and even we talked about it with Justin and Troy do you, with like Suboxone and stuff, which both of the people affected in my family have to use Suboxone. And it was always like, well, it's not about making them 100% clean. It's keeping them alive and sober. Right. And at the time, I didn't even know that something like this existed, but like this is just a second level of support, a second level of hope on top of, whatever it is they got to take to stay sober, which it's crazy to think you have to take something to stay sober, right. But you do, because it's that serious. Again, what if addiction caused hair loss, it would be very important that we figure out how to have hair restoration and stuff. But it's really, the teeth is the biggest. And like when you see the mugshots of the last 100, drug addicts that got arrested, 99 out of 100 of them are going to have no teeth or messed up teeth, or you look at that person's teeth and you're like, drug addict.
That's exactly right. It's a stigma, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's what drives me, man, to help these patients. Man. Because I'm doing it for patients, like I said, who have already been 12 months clean, right? These people have a sponsor. They actually want to help themselves, right? Mm-hmm. I don't help anybody that don't want to help themselves. But these patients are really putting forth a huge effort in their life to get better. Yeah. And those are the ones that it's most powerful when you change their smile. Man. All
right, let's take with the time that we got left. I want to really break this down. All right. So first of all, Pryor Family Dentistry, from what I could see by being a patient myself, my whole family's going to be going there moving forward. But as being a patient myself, that business seems to be rocking and rolling. Do you have any needs at Pryor Family Dentistry? Are you hiring? You guys good to go? Like, obviously you're always taking new patients. PryorFamilyDentistry.com is the URL. Folks, I would highly suggest if you're not 100% in love with the people taking care of what's inside that beautiful smile of yours, I highly recommend Pryor Family Dentistry. Is there anything Pryor Family Dentistry needs?
We're always hiring good talent.
Okay.
Right. So even when I go to a restaurant and I have a great experience, right, I'm trying to recruit that person always, constantly.
Yep.
And so, yes, we're always hiring great talent, man. I mean,
my man. So Smiles for Recovery. This is where we're going to spend a few minutes here. All right. Because there's multiple facets, you guys are, not only are you helping the people in recovery that need to know about you, need to know how to apply, the families and the friends of these recovering addicts need to know about this. Okay. So we've got, I'm going to put my little cheat sheet here. I'm going to put addiction here for the addicts. All right. Now you're also, expanding into new markets. So you've got to have surgeons, practitioners, all those people to to train and become a part of this and so on and so forth, and anybody in between, right? So let's cover all the bases here of we know the story, we know where you're at, but now let's talk about where you're going and how we're going to get there.
Okay.
All right. So let's just start with, do you want to start with the new markets and what's needed in those markets and where the fundraising, there's massive fundraising needs here. I know there's government programs for this stuff that a lot of times go underutilized or don't get utilized at all, that people don't even know that they exist. So let's talk about the whole thing for Smiles for Recovery, from the finance to the clientele to the people that serve all this, and how to become a part of it, how you can help, how to apply, anything and everything. Let's go through it all.
Okay. One of the things that makes our program different is after we, fix the patient's teeth, right, we're actually giving these patients the opportunity to have two different types of careers, right? Okay. So we have two different career pathways. One is to work in the dental laboratory for those patients who are really not used to dealing with other people, right? They're more introverted type people, right? Some people like to work in a laboratory, be closed off. But again, that builds a career path for that person who is recovering. And we are also doing dental assisting for those more outgoing patients, right? So they get their smile fixed, and now they have the opportunity to learn how to be a dental assistant and actually help other patients with the same treatment that they were provided with. And so we're looking for grants and things like, we have people writing grants for us now so that we can help to fund that part of the process, but we're not just giving these patients a job, we're actually teaching them a career, right? Bringing them into the medical healthcare, and they're fired up about it, man, because they saw the process, right? They went through it. So very much like recovery itself, they get to recover dental wise, right? And then they get to be a part of the process.
Yeah, it's almost like they have two huge mountains to climb, the recovery portion itself, and then like there's usually nothing left once they've recovered. They're starting from scratch. Everything that they had, they burned to the ground because of the addiction. You know what I mean? So like they probably don't have a job. They're not hireable because of their past, their checkered past, right? They're the last thing that that people are looking for, honestly. And but like going back to your most powerful position to serve the person you used to be, holy cow, think about what you're doing right there. Like you're giving, these people have real life experience. There's no better person, in my opinion, to help an addict than somebody that has already fought that fight and won.
That's right. It's powerful, man, because they get to see the restorations being made, right? If they choose the laboratory path, if they choose the clinic path, they get to see it installed, right? So it's powerful, man.
So those folks that are getting an opportunity to build a career with that, walk me through that. So obviously you guys are training them.
That's right. We're training them to do processes in the laboratory, and eventually if they stay there long enough at it, right, they will become a technician and actually get their CDT, which is a title that you can get as a dental technician.
That's fantastic. That is fantastic. So you guys are fulfilling some careers now to train these people. How long does that usually, like before they are, let's say employable? What's the timeline on something like that? And is this what a lot of the grants are going for, is to kind of help build these people up?
Yeah. So I have a dental assisting school that I've started along with this, right? And that takes about 8 weeks.
Okay.
So they're in class for about 8 weeks, doing clinical stuff and learning terminology, things like that.
Yeah.
The laboratory deal takes years, man. I mean, years and years to learn, right? But it's a career that they're building. So rather than going to school to do it, they're actually doing it live on the job.
Wow.
And so, but it just takes time. It takes years, but it keeps their mind busy and focused, right, on something other than going to get more drugs.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
And the stuff we're doing is intense, right? So they have to be sharp, man, and stay on task, right?
Yeah.
And they've got people around them like that.
Wow.
Everybody on my team is like that. They're very detail oriented, right? And they help them stay on task.
How does one apply to go into that program? So they've Usually, so they smiled and they got a new smile, right? So that's where they're at right now. How does that usually go? What's that process look like?
So after the process is over and they get their teeth fixed, right? Like we have big questionnaires that they go through, and we're actually monitoring all of this, and we're collecting data on every single patient. Because I've learned through the process that our grant writers need that, right? They need this data. The politicians need the data. They want to know, how is this actually impacting this community? And we have it, man. We have real live numbers, right? And it's just so powerful. It's almost 100%. They're not going back into it, right?
Yeah.
Because now they feel normal again, right? I mean, we just don't understand that unless you're in their situation, right?
Right.
You can't fathom what that's like.
That's right.
So
that's right. That's right. All right. So we've got careers. All right. So talk about let's get into the other part, right? So you guys are like let's talk a little bit about how the funding process for something like this works, right? Because I know that like when I was talking to Justin, he's like each state's got a budget, or each state's got some money's a program or something allocated for something like this. Right. And like, he's got to go in and you guys are educating each market or state or how that works. Like I really want people to, there's a lot of folks that will hear what we're talking about today, and they'll be inspired like I am. They're like, dude, like I got to step up and do something. What can I do? Like that's the biggest thing, is like most people don't do stuff because they just weren't asked. So I like asking people.
Sure.
I love asking people for stuff.
I've always had a really hard time asking people for money or help, right? Like my whole life, I've never asked people for help. And it's hard for me, because I know how hard it is to come by money, right? I grew up hard, man. So I know that. So I never ask. And I'm having to get used to doing that now because I want to help more people, and I can't physically do it myself. I'm not a multi-millionaire. I just can't help that many people. Yeah. But I do what I can. But it's just I lost my train of thought there.
No, dude, it's fantastic. It's just those how to as far as the funding goes, how to raise the capital, like even like what's needed to get started in a market. What's the minimum raise that's needed to get started? Where does it usually come from? You guys have your first golf tournament this year, so like you're starting to do some things in the community to help create awareness and everything else. I'm really excited about helping cover that too, which is going to be a great time. Just telling those stories, right? So talk to me a little bit about the funding.
So basically, I've been funding it all myself up until this point, right? Yeah. Like that's what I'm dumping my extra cash into, is to help these folks. And Dr. Griffin, Jody Griffin, he's another one of our board members. He's in Knoxville. And Dr. Griffin and I put a lot of our personal money into this to help folks. I mean, it's just what we've done. We don't mind to, but we only have so much capacity, right? And so now we're getting grant writers to write grants, and we are talking to the highest levels of the federal government right now, like literally surgeon generals, right? Like we're talking to big time people in politics that they love this, man, because it helps everybody. And that's the big thing right now, right? The opiate crisis. And it is a crisis. Yeah. But we have to get these people through recovery and then keep them recovered. Right. And you can't do that if they have bad teeth. Right. So it's a vital component, right? And we're educating the politicians on it. So we're not getting taxpayer money. That's not what we're looking for, right? Like this money's coming from opiate money, opiate abatement money, that type of stuff. Yeah. And I'm still learning about all this stuff. But again, I'm just trying to accumulate funds so that we can reach more people. And an exact number, I don't know. Honestly, I'm just, because I've been doing it myself all this time. But I can tell you, because we own our own laboratory, that we can crunch down the cost, right? Right. And that's the key, right? So we're doing everything for cost. Yeah. Laboratory work, supplies, right? Everything, right? But just any help is appreciated, Absolutely. But we're not begging for it. We want people to get involved so that they can experience what we're experiencing. Right. And they get to see the transition. So every donor I've had so far, they come to the classes and they get to, it's a story, man. So it all starts in the morning around 7 a.m., right? We're taking photos and stuff. And by the end of the day, man, that person is awake again and they're smiling, right? Yeah. For the first time in I don't know how long, most of their life.
Yeah.
And it's an incredible feeling, man. And it just captures, you know, that person who's donating, right?
Mm-hmm.
They see what we're seeing, you know, and it's powerful.
It makes a lot of sense because I know there is a lot of resources and programs aimed at the opioid crisis. And like this is a way to make sure that money is well spent. You know what I mean? It's to get the return on investment is that person not relapsing. That is the return on investment. It is them becoming healthy and living the rest of their life. You know what I mean? And and this is one of the ways that I totally understand where you're coming from when you're educating those politicians, because like that's not even something that I would have even thought of when you're so focused on the crisis itself and the recovery portion of it that, you know, when you think about the reasons that they relapse and everything else, you don't even, it would have literally took somebody like you. I'm surprised that this hasn't been a topic of conversation for 10 years now. You know what I mean? It's kind of, if you think about it,
it's crazy. Yeah.
It kind of is.
One of the doctors I'm working with in DC right now, he's in Baltimore, but his name is Dr. Jay Samuels, and he's on several boards and stuff. But anyway, Dr. Samuels, he has been able to come and see this, you know, transition with us, you know, and he's going back to DC and he's relaying the data, you know, and telling people about it. And it's really awesome, man.
The data is going to be very powerful because you guys are going to be able to literally like say, this is without Smiles for Recovery. This is the analytics. This is the recovery rate. This is the relapse rate. And this is with Smiles for Recovery. Yeah. Hey, pardon this quick interruption, but it's a good one. You're listening to this ad right now, which means someone else could be listening to your ad in this exact spot. That's right. If you've got a business, a brand, a product, a podcast, or even just a message you want people to hear, you should be advertising right here on the Hitstreak. This is the moment, the placement, the audience, and you're already hearing how powerful it is. So don't just listen to ads, run one. Go to nickhyder.com/contact-me or click the link in the show notes to get started. Let's put your brand in the spotlight right where it belongs. It's something that I had literally, when this comes out 4 months ago, I didn't even know that this was a thing. And I'm pretty in tune with the community and do a lot with a lot of nonprofits here. And literally, it's affected my wife and I's family. Like, you know what I mean? So it's
like right now, Nick, on the website, we have, I think, over 1,000 patients who are already signed up to have this level of treatment, right? Where they're either missing all of their teeth or all of their teeth are rotted.
Gosh.
Right?
And
so that's how many people we need to get to, right? That have even applied for it.
Wow.
And
that's just here. That's not even nationwide.
That's another thing we're doing. It's our local community, right? Like we're not going to Brazil. We're not going to, you know, other countries. We're working in our local communities.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing, building doctor partners in all the different states who want to treat people in their own community. And that's where everything starts, right? If you don't clean things up at home, how are you going to help people outside of your home? Right.
What's how can some churches help here? How can some churches help here?
They can help spiritually, right?
Yep.
Like a lot of these people, they need God in their lives, you know.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. And, you know, obviously financially, anybody can donate to it.
Sure.
We're just going to increase our reach the more that we can accumulate, right?
Absolutely. Well, there's a lot of folks that I have in mind that need to know about this. That and again, it's all about the story. How clearly can you articulate the story and the mission, and then getting feedback from the people that actually lived it and that it helped. And again, I'm not at all putting myself in anybody's shoes, but I can tell you that you know, roughly 3 weeks ago, I felt and looked different. And I can tell you that it has been a major upgrade on just, I didn't realize how much I was hiding my own teeth. And now that I have these subconsciously, I catch myself like just grinning all the time. You know what I mean? Like I used to smile with my smile was almost always closed, no teeth showing.
Man, I went through and looked at your podcast. You're always like this.
Yeah, I know. That's
like
right.
Literally, you're always behind your big microphone, right?
Yep.
And I was like, he's been hiding his smile and he doesn't realize it.
Yep.
Right. So yeah, man, it's been super cool to even watch a transition with you. You know, that's what I live for, man. That's my passion in life, is to give people that confidence. Right.
Well, you know, you mentioned you've used the word courage to me a couple times, where I just hopped in and we know we're going to grind my permanent regular teeth down and go the other route. But it's like, I don't know. The only way I know to help, that I can help people, is if I can experience it. And like, I got to get in there and know what, like, I don't know. I have to be a part of it. You know what I mean? So like, and it's, you know, what the gift that I got on the other side is like, I never forget when my son and wife, even my daughter who's 4 and don't know what's going on, saw them. They were just like, whoa, like it's literally life changing. And when you take somebody at rock bottom, I know how much it felt for me, and I was in a pretty good place.
Yeah. Your teeth weren't terrible, right?
Yeah.
I mean, to you in your mind, they were, you know, you wanted a complete change, man, but it's totally different than what these people are experiencing.
And the day, so that we put them in on a Monday evening, Tuesday evening, we had baseball practice, and I go to baseball practice, and literally, Coach Jeremy, he's just staring at me, you know, staring at my face while I'm talking to him. I didn't tell him,
Right.
And he was like, "Did you what did you whiten like your teeth with, man? They're like beautiful and perfect." I was like, "They're brand new, bro. They're not even 24 hours old."
That's awesome, man.
I'm telling you.
And that's really the best compliment a dentist can get, right?
Right.
If you're getting good compliments out there in public, man, there's nothing better than that. Right?
All right. So back to Smiles for Recovery. So you guys have a large task ahead of you in training people to be able to do this in other markets and in their communities, right? So what are some of the biggest needs or the biggest challenges you face right now when doing that?
Well, so that's where we're looking for partner dentists in other states that are actually already doing this. Like, there are doctors that are doing this without funding, right? Mm-hmm. And our goal is to get them funding so that they can expand their knowledge. So we have 2 different types of dentists, okay? We got the dentists that are seasoned and they already know how to do this process. Every general dentist wants to learn how to place a dental implant. That's like the pinnacle of dentistry, right? Okay. To be able to place titanium for tooth replacement. Mm-hmm. So there's another segment of the population of dentists who are younger, right? And they're learning in their surgical training, but they're coming through the practice as we're treating these patients. But we're looking for doctor partners who are actually already doing it. Okay. And they're all over the country, man. They're already doing this. And they're already training other doctors to do what they do. We're just giving them a platform, and we're going to treat a specific population of patients, right? Mm-hmm. The ones that are underserved, right? Yeah. Like, there's not a lot of offices that would just take these patients in, right? Sure. Take all their teeth out and do what they need done, because they're in the day-to-day grind, man, of dentistry, right? The business. Not every business is financially able to do that. It's hard. You have to get to a certain place to be able to do that for sure. And we're going through growing pains right now, right? Like, we're literally dumping all of our capital into doing this, right, to help these patients. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's fun, man. It's rewarding. So, man. Well, you know, again, the biggest thing for us, I'm really excited, Dr. Aaron. Like, you know, I'm really working on some things in my own mind about how we can, again, give a voice to the voices, bring some of the folks that have had. I can't wait to see them at the events, and I want to literally like put the microphone up. I want to ask them questions and get their feedback and hear their testimony at the end of the day is basically what it is. And it's just, there's just, again, this is, even though like, I'm just blown away, but like, I'm still very new to this, and the more that I learn, the more fascinated I become, and the more that it's like, man, like, honestly, when it comes to a lot of nonprofits, you have to be a certain skill set to be able to be involved and help people and whatnot. But folks, like, we all know somebody that's been affected by this. We all just, like, at this point in time, the greatest thing we can do to help Dr. Pryor and Justin, the rest of the team at Smiles for Recovery, all of them, everybody nationwide, is create awareness. It's create awareness to let them know that a program like this does exist, how people can apply, what it's doing with careers. I mean, honestly, it's an amazing story that is like
a lot of it has already been written, and we just need to make sure that it's documented, but like the best parts are yet to come.
That's right. We're planning to be in 23 states by the end of this year. That's the goal, right? And this is not our goal solely. This is the politicians' goal. So they love it, man, because it is going to help with the opiate crisis, right? It's a great thing. It's a great thing for our nation, a great thing for these patients, right? Because we're all going to be battling this fentanyl crisis, this opiate crisis, for the rest of our history, I believe. I don't think it's going anywhere.
There's probably folks too that, we know that abduction and trafficking is a major problem, and they're not getting, there's no toothpaste and toothbrush and mouthwash in
These are
situations.
other patients that we're treating too, right? Like I'm treating my veterans through this program also. I'm a veteran, right? So I want to be able to, that's a segment of our population that has been forgotten about, and there aren't as many dollars out there to help these patients, right? They're in the same situation.
Yeah.
But they're recovering from PTSD, right?
Yeah.
Just like a dental phobic PTSD, same thing.
That's right. That's right. What advice would you have for folks to, again, it really does kind of bother me that like in every TV show you talk about, when they got to go to the dentist, it's like, oh, no, like, oh, I'm so sorry. You got to go to the dentist. Right. Like what's, like, again, it's what advice would you have for folks that like let them know, like, look, man, if you dread going to your dentist, like I would say you're not going to the right one.
Well, I would tell people, if your dentist that you're going to doesn't recognize the fact that you're terrified, right, you should get up and leave, right? And what I mean by that is, like, the dentist needs to sedate you, right? Like some patients that I have sat down in my chair, before I do their examination, I can look at that patient before we start speaking, right? And they have sweat beads on their forehead, right?
Yeah.
Man, I know right off the bat that this person has had a bad experience somewhere. So now I'm getting into, why are you like this, right? What was the bad experience? Did a dentist hurt you at some point?
Yeah.
And every time, man, yes, I had this root canal done up here. This is what they say, right? It's always a root canal.
Yeah.
You know why? Because they waited until the tooth was killing them before they went to have it treated.
Yep.
And then the dentist, once your central nervous system is stimulated, right, by toothache, it doesn't matter how much anesthetic we give you, we can't overcome that.
Wow.
The central nervous system, right? So what do I do different? I treat the toothache with antibiotics usually first, right? Like I don't jump right in there to work on you, right? I got to get you out of pain, man, and comfortable before I can actually treat your problem. That's the difference in experience versus, man, I need just $3,000, $4,000, right, to fix this tooth or take it out and put an implant in today, right? I don't do that, man. I'm focused on making sure that your psyche is okay, right? Like I don't want you to be a dental phobic.
Yeah.
And that's what I really built my practice on, was sedation.
Yeah.
Like we have a slogan, we treat you like family. And that's online, right? That was when I first started. I did a little commercial, right? And we had the whole community come out to the local park. And that's how I got started and branded my name.
Man.
But it's all about sedation and making people comfortable, Because it's a very scary thing to have your teeth worked on. I hate it myself.
Yep.
Like I take medicine when I have to have it done because I know I need to be calm for my doctor, right?
That's right.
The worst thing you could ever do is go into your dentist and be laying there and the dentist is working on you and you're going, you know, physically, like I'm looking out of the corner of my eye when I'm working on you, I can see your feet moving, right? Like I'm that in tune with your body, man, to make sure you're having a good experience. And then if I notice you're tensing up, we just abort, man. We'll come back another day, right? And we'll give you medicine, right? That's what you need.
It's all about the experience, man. It's all about the experience. Well, Doc, is there anything that we didn't cover as far as business, family, the not-for-profit organization, what you guys are needing, right? So we know that there's you guys are chasing or trying to work on getting that the abatement monies allocated for the right purposes and to the right people. Training those doctors, you're training the recovered addicts, you're building careers, you're building smiles. I mean, it's not a nonprofit, it's a movement, I would say.
It's a whole calamity. What we're trying to build a wheelhouse so that it's good for everybody involved, right?
Yep.
Every person involved, it's great for. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What's the end goal for an organization like that? So I was always taught, when you open a business, you build it with the end in mind. Are you going to die doing it? Are you going to sell it? Are you going to give it away? Are you going to let it go out on its own? What's the end in mind, and when you build it? So with a not-for-profit like this, what's the ultimate goal for you in there? Have you thought that far ahead?
Yes, I have. And the ultimate goal for me is for when I'm long gone, man, this will continue on into infinity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm bringing doctors together now that can be part of my family. Basically, they become part of your family. Dr. Griffin, he and I are pretty close now because we've gone through this together. But that's the difference. I mean, we're just, it's just a powerful movement, man, and we're excited.
Man, it's again, and it's all about just awareness and awareness and spreading the word, and make sure the people that need the information get it from the people that have it, right? At the end of the day, that's all that we're doing here, man. And so anybody that wants to apply to be a part of a program like this, smilesforrecovery.org is where they can go. They can apply. Everything's right there. All the education they need.
Yes.
Everything's right there, right?
Doctors that want to be trained, or are interested in learning how to place dental implants. It doesn't matter what your skill level is, if it's single implants or if it's full arch treatment, right? That's what we're focused on, training.
Yeah.
So they can fill out a form on there too and see when the different trainings are available.
Right.
And then patients can definitely go online and do that.
Love it. And again, too, the one thing that I learned from working with you is, and it's something I'd never done in the dentist chair before, was understand all the words that I heard and the language that was used and so on and so forth. With my general doctors and stuff, I ask questions all the time. I remember being in the emergency room with diverticulitis, and they gave me an ibuprofen. I was like, whoa, how much is that ibuprofen in the emergency room? They were like $800. I'm like, I ain't in that much pain, But I did. But in previous experience in the dentist chair, I didn't never say a word. And I think that's where a lot of the nerve comes from with folks, is the unknown, or they don't, know what's going on. So when I remember when they were like, yeah, he's going to sedate you. I didn't know there was multiple levels of sedation in the, in something like that. Right. So I was asleep, but I wasn't. I was kind of, what I mean? I wasn't totally unconscious.
And see the difference in you and a patient that was terrified, right? I just needed to calm you down, right? Because you and I are a lot alike. We're very hyper. We're very type A personality, right? Yeah. If I don't calm your mind, it makes it really hard for me to get the work done in a timely manner.
Yeah, because you said, my subconscious was, I didn't realize I was even keeping my mouth shut, and the hardest thing to do in my whole entire experience during all this was just keep my mouth open, because I'm so used to keeping it closed the whole time.
That's right.
Keeping it open was the most painful part of the whole thing for me. It's kind of like when you work out for the first time in a long time and you're sore afterwards, the muscles are sore. My jaws were sore from just holding my mouth open, from where I just constantly clench all the time.
So yeah, and you probably don't remember me saying this, but there's not a single muscle that you contract to open your mouth. Mm-hmm. So literally you should be able to relax your muscles and your jaw drop open by gravity.
Yeah. Yep.
I can do that. I don't squeeze my teeth, right?
Yep.
But patients that clench and squeeze a lot, your muscles are spasming constantly.
Yep.
And they're trying to contract. It's like an alligator, right?
Yep.
I can take and hold their mouth closed and they can't open it, right?
Yep. That's right.
Now, if it's open, they can hammer.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
That's right.
Because the muscles contract to elevate and close their mouth.
And I didn't even know, I wasn't even aware that it was happening. You know what I mean? That was I call it my resting bitch face. You know what I mean? It was like that all the time. Well, man, Dr. Aaron Pryor, the owner of Pryor Family Dentistry, the co-founder of Smiles for Recovery, smilesforrecovery.org, and PryorFamilyDentistry.com, online on Instagram at Smiles for Recovery and at Pryor Family Dentistry. While I got it, let's make sure I look up your personal one, because again, some of the stuff I'm going to be doing with you guys is helping you guys with that digital presence. It's extremely important. Let me see here. I got it tagged right here. I'm going to find it real quick. Aaron_Pryor_DDS. That is that's the other Instagram. Aaron_Pryor_DDS. Well, Doc, whether you want to admit it back or not, I'm proud to call you a friend. And
I'm very humble and grateful, man, to be here, and thank you for help.
Well, we're just getting started, and folks, you're going to see a lot of what they're doing with Smiles for Recovery and what Dr. Aaron has got going on, and a big shout out, Big Vinny. Big Vinny is who actually connected me with Troy and Justin, who got me connected to you. So it was literally 3 degrees of contacts to get to where we're sitting here today.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, in my opinion, this is a little bit of a God thing going on, right? So, and I didn't even know that I needed this. There was a void in my life that this filled, that like, as far as like wanting to help people. And literally when I look at the people in our family that have gone through this, it really like, I just get it. It hits home. It is home. And then seeing the difference that it made in me, and I wasn't even in that bad a shape. It's the real deal. And coming, when you're a little bit old school and from the South, nothing's necessary. You don't need that. It's all, you're tough and grit and,
That's
right.
And
all that kind of stuff. Well, dude, like I can tell you, a pretty smile is totally worth it. And, and the most common question I get so far is, what was it like? Obviously with the week with the temporaries in, it was, you're not eating the food you normally eat. It's different. It was adjustment. It was, but that's healthy too, to a certain degree, very healthy, to change. And, but everybody's like, well, would you do it again? And it's literally with an exclamation point. It's hell yes, I would. And we're going to be doing it again with the bottoms. I can't wait to unveil the full blown smile when we're done. Cause like I'm only experiencing half the greatness, right?
Right.
I'm only experiencing half the greatness. And just for the general folks out there, what is an actual like timeline when they go from the start to finish? Like, mine was really fast, and I'm grateful for that. Thank you guys for that.
Yeah, it typically takes, from a week to 2 weeks. Okay. It really depends on the case and the patient, right? Mm-hmm. So if I have somebody that's really clinching, right, or I have somebody in the public eye, right, I'm going to get it done faster. But if I've got a mom that's at home, right? Mm-hmm. And so we can stretch those cases out a little longer because they're not stressing to get it done, right? They don't have to be in the public eye.
Yep.
So every single case is different. I don't have any cookie cutter method, right?
Yep.
I treat each individual the different.
That's what I love. So, one size does not fit all.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It does not. It does not. All right, so check it out. I got the camera guy that was with me, Jensen over here in the corner, is the one that actually filmed when we were doing all this the whole entire time. I was there, kind of, you should be like, I don't remember anything, remember? Is there anything that I missed? Like anything that you saw that, it's a very impressive practice, and like it just goes on forever. And folks, you're going to be seeing some footage of the space. We filmed everything. Like, so there's a lot that as we're recording here today, we might not have unveiled it yet, but when you're listening to it, when this comes out, you may have seen some of it. So I'm not sure how that's going to play out yet, but regardless, if you hadn't seen it and it's out, go watch it. And if you haven't seen it yet and it's not out, stay tuned. It's coming, but it's an impressive spot, isn't it, man? Was there anything, Jensen, that stood out to you that you were like, oh man, I would have never envisioned that? What was the string? I remember hearing about string. I don't remember feeling any string, but I remember you saying something about string. Was there string that was put somewhere? Was there string put somewhere in something?
May have been floss.
Was it a floss? Was that maybe what it was?
We use a lot of floss.
I can imagine. Well, I'll have to go back and slow mo the time lapse we shot of the whole thing. Yeah, man. I got to wear those cool glasses and all that good stuff.
Well, one thing about us too is we do comprehensive care, right? But we treat the whole family. I have the ability to put children to sleep if they have a lot of dental work that need to be done, right? Mm-hmm. Like we have that capability. So just like going to the hospital, you can have it done in my office.
Love it.
The whole family.
All right, so final thoughts for just literally like let's talk to the parents out there. As a parent of a 15-year-old and a 4-year-old that brushing teeth ain't the most fun experience for anybody with the 3 and 4-year-old. It's hard getting them to love doing that. It's usually something we have to do together.
Yeah, and that's where it's so incredibly important to bring your children into the doctor. As soon as you can carry on a conversation with your child, you should have them in the dental chair getting their teeth cleaned, right? Okay. And the reason for that is, like I told you before, we're trying to build that rapport with the patient, right? Every individual's different.
Oh, right.
I'm not just building it with the parents, right? I'm building it with a child.
That's right.
And so that I can gain their confidence, right, while they're young.
Yep.
And where they know that we're never going to hurt them.
That would be huge. Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. The worst thing you could do as a parent is wait until your child has a toothache.
Right.
Or something that hurts them before you bring them to the dentist.
Man,
you just gave your child PTSD from the dentist when you do that.
And, you know, one of the dumbest things that I've heard, and I probably was guilty of saying it when I was young and dumb with raising my son, is well, those teeth are going to fall out anyways. We'll take real good care of the permanent ones.
Yeah. And then they get a toothache with the baby teeth, right? And their head swells up. That's what happens, right? This is the old school way of thinking about it, right? Just they're going to fall out anyway.
Yep.
See, the reason you want to keep baby teeth is in order to maintain the space for the permanent teeth to come in. If they lose baby teeth too early in life, see, the spaces collapse.
Wow.
That's what happens.
Wow. I'm telling you, man, folks, we are just misinformed. That's all that it is. We're just misinformed. So finding the right health plan can feel overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. Backed by over 12 years of experience and more than 20 national and local awards, Team Hyder is here to help you navigate your options and choose a plan that fits your family's needs and your budget. So whether you're looking for individual coverage, family plans, or even Medicare options, Team Hyder brings expert guidance with heart. Visit teamhyder.com today to schedule your consultation and get the coverage that you deserve. Dr. Aaron Pryor. Well, brother, again, I'm going to keep calling you an artist because it was what you guys did, literally one tooth at a time. And when I see where the parts of my mouth you had to access to put those things in, and I look at my short, fat fingers that I can't even, I can't do anything with these things. Like, it's amazing what you guys do with your hands, man. It's awesome.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
It's awesome. Well, Doc, I know you're a busy dude. I sure appreciate the time, appreciate the hang today. But this is the first of many appearances I'm going to go on the record and say. You cool with that?
Man, I'm excited. Yeah, this has been a really cool experience.
Well, I love it, man. Folks, check it out. He is a veteran of our great U.S. Air Force. He's the owner of Pryor Family Dentistry and the co-founder of Smiles for Recovery, Dr. Aaron Pryor. Smilesforrecovery.org, PryorFamilyDentistry.com, online, and on Instagram at SmilesForRecovery, at Pryor Family Dentistry, and at, what was it again, Jensen? It was, hold on, I'm going to look it up. Aaron_Pryor_DDS. That's it, baby. That's it. Doc, thanks for the hang today, baby. It's always a good time.
We appreciate you very much.
I love it. Well, folks, thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of The Hitstreak. I'm your man, Nick Hyder. God bless.